guys, happy Wednesday. Valerie Hunt, Ask Me Anything, Run RX. So, and by the way, when you come on here, I come on once a week. I answer questions about running. You're welcome to post a question. I can actually see it if you post it while I'm on. I try to stay on about 15 minutes. So here we go. Today's first question that I got was about the knees, which, you know, is never want to have pain anywhere in our run, but especially not in the joint, right? So she was saying that when she runs, and I'll stand here this way for a minute, her knees seem to do this, and we used to call this like a buckle. So she said, my knees come in, and I have pain, obviously, so what can I do to help that not happen? So this is what the fun part is with running, is what you do around the running is what will help you in the run. And generally, pain is our body's way of saying, hey, this is not feeling really good. So if I have a pain in the knee, and one of the things that happens is, she said, oh, I know, it's if I stand on one leg, right? And she said my knee buckles. So it's either, you call it a hip dip, so see how the hip drops, or knee buckle, meaning the knee comes in this way. But either way, really what it is an unstable support. So your foot in running is your support. You're standing all of your weight on this foot, right? So this is what we call the support foot. So I'm going to stand on this line for just a minute. And there, make it a really clear line. All right, so if I'm standing on this line, all of my weight now is on this foot. So I'm on one leg. So if I'm standing on one leg and my hip is unable to hold my body weight up here, then sometimes things happen, like she said hers is the dip, the hip dip, and then the knee buckles in, right? So what's important is that we first fix, or not fix, but put you in a stable position so that you can support your body weight as you should. And so like Run RX, we are skill, strength, and self-care. So for a lot of people, and I know you've heard this before, if you ever go, people will say, oh, my glutes aren't firing when I run. So the answer is to do some glute strength exercises, which I totally agree with. I mean, we all need to do hip strength for sure. So try this with me, or try it when you're done, but it's kind of fun. Here's the challenge. I want you to have the ability when you run, and you want you to have the ability to support your body weight. And as minimal amount of support as possible, of time on support. So if you have time for the hip to dip and the knee to buckle, number one is you may be spending too much time on the ground, which we can correct as we're correcting also the ability for you to hold your body weight. That's the fun part of learning the how-to part of the running. So first, let's do your pose. So everyone, if you can, try this with me, but just stand on that one foot. Not even worrying about, am I in the running pose, but just stand on one foot for me and bend the knee you're standing on. And do you feel balanced, or do you feel like a little bit out of sorts, right? That's usually the first thing. So what I want you to do is, if you can, I'd love to have your foot all the way to pose. So my ankle is under my hip. The knee I'm standing on is bent. So here, I'll switch feet. This knee stays bent, ankle under hip. So here's the important part, because when we're standing still, we can control our movement, not when we run. So this is kind of fun. So from here, take your arms and your shoulders and make yourself a little bit taller. Still have to keep the knee bent, but how tall can I be? All right, really unweigh yourself this way, upper body. And then relax your arms and let them be here. So my knee is still bent. So now what I'd like you to try to do is, can you isolate your glutes? So it's not easy, but see if you can squeeze the glute of this leg, the one you're standing on. Squeeze, 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 and then also tuck the pelvis under. So right here, I'm doing a strength exercise. So I'm like asking the glute to contract, doing a little bit of a pelvic tilt. It's a lot of work going on here, all right? And now let it go, release it. Release everything and hold. And now I want you to pull this foot, switch feet, just like that, okay? So we're gonna try that on the other foot. So here's what we're doing. we're telling ourselves and our body, here's what I want to happen. I want to stand here, body weight on the ball of my foot, knee is bent. If I feel like I can't stay stable on this hip, first of all, make sure I'm holding my ears, shoulders, hips as high as I can hold them, meaning everything for me is you're lifted here, right? Arms are by your side. Now just try, can you squeeze this glute, squeeze it nice and tight, and then tuck that pelvis under. And what you're doing is you're just telling your body and yourself, okay, when I'm here, this needs to happen. Now relax, let everything go, and now pull. And you should be right in that same pose. When you're actually running, I hope that you felt that, but realize when I'm actually running, I'm not gonna stop and have time to talk to myself or talk to my muscles. The pull itself in the run is simply a reflexive response of you running and feeling your foot touching down, and when you feel your foot touch down, you pull it right back up. So there's no knees in running. So if you're feeling like when I'm running, my hip is unstable, my knee is doing this, then unfortunately you are, instead of running, you're landing. So you're allowing that foot, you see, to come down. And only if it comes really down out in front of you will any of that buckle or hip dip or any of that really happen. So if you simply start to practice what it feels like to first stand in your running pose, then you can strengthen, do some hip exercises. That's what I'm gonna call this, standing pose hip exercise. Squeeze the glute, tuck the pelvis under, hold it just for a second, then release it, but do the running action, pull. See? So then we start to realize, okay, I'm just getting myself stronger in my pose, but my running action is pulling. So then you're doing skill practice and strength practice. And guys, all the other exercises that you get, if you've never done, like I have a 30-day reboot on YouTube, and it takes you through the initial practice of the gait cycle, the pose, fall, pull, and then it's got skill drills and strength exercises and stretches, because we all need to do all of that, really, right? Right, I mean, we know it. I need to do my stretches, I need to do this and that. And a lot of times people get hung up though on this. Say she asked me, my knee hurts, or not, I don't think she said my knee hurts, but my hip dips and I get this knee buckle, and I said back to her, oh, it's because your glutes aren't firing or working right. Which would be correct, but not really, because then she would think, okay, if I do these glute exercises, right? Like this is a glute exercise, you can put a band on and do these like clam things. I'll do those glute exercises, which of course are great and you can do, but imagine if you did some specific running exercises, like I'm gonna talk to my glute about working here where I wanna be in my run. See what I mean? It's just a little bit more specific to what's happening. Sometimes my arches get sore. What am I doing wrong? Hey, Monica. It's good to see you. Okay, I know, I bet you're gonna run something. I'm sure you're running something. All right, sometimes my arches get sore. Okay, so that's another good one. So if my arches are getting sore, there's tension somewhere along the chain. And it's either in the foot or the calf, right? Because if it's my arches that are getting sore, then there's some kind of tension. So let's have a little bit of fun with that. Take your feet, and this is just a practice exercise, but spread your toes out inside of your shoes, right? Spread your toes out and make your feet really flat, and then bend your knees. And first thing you should work on is we want to increase the range of motion here. And so I've got exercises, of course, but this is important. So right now you see my whole foot is flat, my ankle is behind my knee, and that's really important because this is how our foot is generally going to touch down on the ground. But what we want is as soon as that happens, I don't want to stay on the ground, my whole body is going to fall forward, right? Pivoting over the ankle. So literally this has to be able to happen. So if you have pain like in the plantar part of your foot or the arch or somewhere in the heel, then what happens is, instead of you letting the whole foot just come up, like, see how my foot's unweighting and then it comes up, you are probably taking the foot, and as the body's going forward, you do this. It's and it happens to a lot of people, it's called pushing. So what happens is you start to fall and you think you're pulling, but you're actually kind of tensing into the ground, putting weight into the ground, and then doing that. So what you want to feel in the pulling itself, so hop for just a second. If you guys could do a little hop, but do with your toes spread out. So bend your knees, spread your toes out, and feel that there's no unbending of this knee. You see, there's no movement. This is an unbending. So can I keep my knees bent and keep everything relaxed? Yeah, I'm just pulling the foot up from the ground. So it's a good way to kind of get comfortable with the feeling of pulling and feel the up, 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 up. So when you're running, it's that same feeling. Up, 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 up. That's what you want to feel. So if my calf is tense, then usually I'm either, two things could be happening. One, like I said, you could be pushing, which see is bouncing, and that bounce is hard on the calf. So this happens a lot. And the other one is if you think about trying to land on the ball of your foot, which can happen when you're first trying to run pose, then people will do something like this. They'll pull and then try to find the ground. So you're doing that. So the more you guys get comfortable with, it's called floppy ankles. And what it is that as soon as you pull the foot up from the ground, you have to let go of the foot. So what's holding your foot is your hamstring. So even when you're practicing your pose, if you'll stand in your pose and let the hamstring hold your foot. See, there's no tension in this ankle because my hamstring has it. So if I have tension in my calf, that means that I'm either kind of pointing or I'm pushing off the back. So guys, practice no tension, floppy ankle, and then simple pulling. And when you get back here, right, then get back in your foot. Can you wiggle your toes, right? Make sure you're in the foot and not in the calf. I'll give you one fun thing to put the two together, okay? So in the beginning, we talked about hip stability and doing hip exercises. And like I said, on my reboot on the YouTube, there's a ton of strength exercises. So there's not like, this is the one, this is it, but, talking about the but, if I do a strength exercise specific to my running position, where I want to be in my run, it just makes sense to add that in, you know, and it's important. But there's a bunch of them, and, you know, again, you can find glute bridges are real simple. Anyone can do those, they're simple, but here's something just for fun, let's all try this. This will help both with relaxing the foot and making sure that my glutes are working for my run. All right, so I want you to stand in that figure 4 running pose. And when you're here, you should have these, ask yourself 4 questions. 1, is my body weight on the ball of my foot? So get into your foot. This will really help with reducing calf issues. So like I can wiggle my toes, right? My feet are definitely my support. Question number 2, is my knee bent on my standing leg? Very important, especially if you've got that hip dip, IT band pain. A lot of those come from that knee, you know, straightening out. So question number 3, is my ankle relaxed and under my hip? So one of the easy ways to check is just to touch the inside of your foot to the inside of your calf. And then the last question is your upper body. Are you bent over? Are you tilted back? I hope not. Try to think, could I get my shoulders up higher? Could I be? How tall can I be? My upper body needs to be unweighting my feet. So if you're feeling tension right now in the calf, it's a good sign that you might be putting pressure down, that you're bending the knee and then adding weight to the ground. Unweigh yourself. Get your shoulders up and forward, right? Feel really free. All right, now squeeze your glute as tight as you can, the one you're standing on. Squeeze it really tight, tuck that pelvis under. Now let it go and pull. Good. Now immediately squeeze this glute. Immediately squeeze this glute. Tight as you can. Tuck the pelvis under. Bend the knee. Now let go. Now ready? Pull again. Pull. Good. Rebalance, rebalance. Find your foot. Ready? Pull. Ready? Pull. Now ready? We're going to pull quick. Go. No line. Up, 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 up. Isn't that fun? You can train yourself to first figure out what moves me, what's the movement consistent of, and then you start releasing the extra work to just get better at doing your job. And then what I want to finish with is, if I'm feeling tension in my feet, my knees, my shins, any of these pains at all, remember what I said. Number one is I'm on the ground too long. So adding just elasticity hops is huge, but the best practice is to make sure you practice the middle element of the gait cycle, which is falling. Because we think we know what I'm saying, but we don't. And what I mean by that is the brain, your body will fight you. When you first say to yourself, self, fall. No, absolutely not, you see? Because it's not a natural thing until it becomes a natural thing. And what I mean by that is I have to get to where I can stand in front of a wall, put my hands out, and literally just do it. Just fall. To feel, and falling as a unit. It's not, you know, I'm falling, holding this whole line. This whole body has to stay connected. So that's where a lot of the strength comes in, you know? And getting comfortable with acceleration and running is holding this fall. My foot's unweighted, and then in order to travel, it's fall, pull, you know? So there's that series of learning. You have to take each element kind of on its own. So in the pose and in the pull, it's all action. It's all, I can do things like squeeze the glute, pull the stomach in, find my hamstring, you know, so that's really important. But the falling aspect is a perception. It's a feeling, it's a sensation, and it's something you have to allow. And so if I never think about it, or I never really put the time into any kind of practice with it, it doesn't just naturally happen. Although we all fall, just so you know. There's no way we would be traveling through this if we didn't use gravity at all, right? But most of us are working against it without realizing it. So if I have time to feel hip pain, calf pain, if these things are happening, remember, number one, I'm probably on the ground too long. So get off the ground, right? Up, up, up. Start to think about what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get off the ground. I'm trying to go forward with my body. And the more you start to think these thoughts, then they, of course, they happen, right? I like attach myself to a fall point. I like to use like it's up and forward. I want to be light. You know, you start to go, oh, that feels so much better. It feels so much better on your feet to just let your body go forward, and you're pulling 2% of your body weight, right? And then you just let go of worrying about what's ahead of you. And when I let go of worrying what's ahead of me, I only focus on just my job of pulling and letting my body go forward. That's the running. That's when you start to connect with running, and you start to really let go of trying to control all of your movements. So that's my answers for today for the my long-winded, but try it. It's fun just to play with your body and kind of see what's going on. And when you run, like, play with the fall. Like, the only thing you have to gain is going a little bit faster, especially in the beginning, because most of us don't feel the falling in the beginning unless it's like, woo, right, really a lot. So, you know, but you start to play with it, and then the next thing you know, it's like when you drive your car. You accelerate and you ease off. You accelerate, you ease off. You'll start to do the same in your running. All right, guys, I'll be back next Wednesday. Remember, you can ask me questions here. You're always welcome to send an email. Check out our website. We have some great things on there for you. If you do have like a little twinge or pain in your run, we have a quiz on the website, and you can take it, and I give you a skill, strength, and self-care tip to help you. And of course, you can go through the reboot. And number one is our membership, 12 weeks of coaching. You send me the videos so I can watch you. We have Zoom. It's interactive. It's a lot of fun. Love to see you on there. So guys, have a great week. See you next time.